If the Spurs go Ace Bailey, where does Philadelphia go in the NBA draft? We're going to break it down right here on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On 76ers. We're your host, 76ers beat writer Keith Pompey. I'm Kayla Santiago, Stein Lab reporter for the Delaware Bluecoats, the NBA G League affiliate of the Philadelphia 76ers. Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Now, if Spurs go Ace Bailey, 76ers have to go Dylan Harper. Keith, he's best player available, but also he fits in well with his skill set with what the 76ers are trying to build too.
Yeah, the problem is the Spurs will not go Ace Bailey.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, we gotta get that out there. Like a lot of people are talking about, Chris Paul. Well, right now they have De'Aaron Fox, they have Chris Paul, right? Well, Chris Paul signed a 1-year deal. So Chris Paul won't be on the books, may not be on the books, right? And if so, I think that you want to go, it's time to move forward. Not, and get me wrong, I love Chris Paul. Great guy. He's about to be, he's 38, 39, maybe 40. He's going to be one of these older guys. But at the same time, if you got a guy like Dylan Harper, you're not going to give him up. But since we're talking about the possibility, I mean, you look at this guy and you see that, he's listed as 6'7". Some people say he's 6'6". Heck, he measured out at 6'4", right? It's crazy, right? Without his shoes.
It's crazy, yeah.
But when we talk about him, he has a chance to be in something special, something extremely special. And with that being said, I think that, if you talk about Ace Bailey and you talk about Dylan Harper and you have the number 2 pick, well, you're going to take Dylan Harper. You just are. So if the Spurs who are going to take him, if they messed around and took Ace instead of Dylan, yes, the Sixers have to go with him because he brings a lot. That will enable Tyrese Maxey to move off the ball, right? At certain instances, you'll have a guy who grew up as a point guard. His father, Ron Harper, was an exceptional basketball player, won a lot of championships. So it's all in his pedigree. And as much as we all agree that Cooper Flagg is going to be the guy, there's a lot of people saying that Dylan Harper is going to be there as well years to come. So, yeah, that would be the pick that the Sixers would make that would basically help catapult the franchise.
And, I would be shocked if on draft night we're sitting here and the Spurs take Ace Bailey. I would say, okay, well, Daryl, it's in your hands. You have the easiest choice in the world to go Dylan Harper. I think it's a pretty easy choice, whichever way you look at it too. But clearly if Dylan Harper somehow falls, which I don't think he will. And I love that you alluded to Maxey playing off the ball because we've seen him succeed so much just in that realm, especially with that 2-man game too of him and Joel Embiid. Harper would give them an opportunity to open the floor even more. And that could be something big for somebody like Tyrese Maxey, who's coming off a season where he had to be the guy, where he had to push for everything, was a little bit bagged up, and of course then was sat out for the rest of the year when the 76ers were tanking. It just allows you to have another playmaker out there, and you don't necessarily need a go-to 25-point per game scorer. Now, granted, he can also score. He can get to the rim at an elite level as well. So I'm not saying that he can't, but you also could benefit from somebody that can dish the rock at an effective level, and that is Dylan Harper. So I would love if he slides down to number 3. I don't think that will happen. I would be absolutely shocked if the Spurs pass up on him because at that point, he is best player available at number 2. If you're San Antonio, you got to go Dylan Harper. But hey, if he slides to Philadelphia, I'd be happy, and Daryl has a pretty easy decision to make.
Here's the thing. We're talking about points being scored. I'm going to ask you a quick question. When you look at the Sixers guards, what are the Sixers missing? What are they missing? With all the guards that they have, Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes, and McCain, Jared McCain. What are they? I mean, they're not pure point guards.
Right.
Like they're basically combo guards. They're elite athletes who can handle the rock, but they're more of two guards trapped in point guard body, so to speak, right? So I mean, Grimes is taller, he's 6'5", so you can say he can be a legit, 2-3. But when you get a Dylan Harper, you finally get a point guard that they have. The only other pure point guard that they have on the roster is Kyle Lowry. And Kyle Lowry is going to be 39, right?
Yeah.
So, so basically he's right in this stage of being a leader. A guy is like on the bench telling guys what to do, a great locker room guy for him. So when we talk about scoring points, I'm talking about a guy that's going to make to basically be able to get people the ball. And when you look at Tyrese Maxey, depending on who's he's on the floor with, like when Joel Embiid isn't out there, when Paul George isn't out there, yes, he's scoring a lot of points, but at the same time, how is he getting others involved? Because, and then in the fourth quarters, a lot of teams, what they did is they would start blitzing them. They would start doing this and that. Now, if you have somebody else out there who can do that and who can handle the rock, it's just going to free things up for everyone else. So to me, like, that's what they're missing, and that's why he's the perfect fit, right? He's the perfect fit right then and there. And then you can bring these other guys off the bench and they'll just be better suited that way. Talking about other guys, talking about Quentin Grimes, talking about Jarrett McCain, they can come off the bench.
Yeah, and when you look at somebody like Dylan Harper, this is something we even talked about when we were looking for the trade deadline. Can the 76ers get a backup point guard or somebody that can really handle the ball that isn't Kyle Lowry? Because, his body might give up on him at any given point. And Dylan Harper, once again, might be a little bit of a fever dream here because of the fact that the Spurs, I'd be shocked if they don't take him at number 2, but he is such a fantastic fit with this Philadelphia 76ers team. It's also important to note, too, if you can get somebody that is a pure passer, and looking at his college highlights, I mean, it is ridiculous some of the things that he was able to create in college. You can help get other people involved, not just Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, Paul George as well. How can you create for Paul George? How can that duo maybe figure it out? Because last year, what we saw was only a 2-man game between Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. If you can have somebody running that point, it gives you a better chance of getting the guy that you threw a lot of money at to be on the 76ers to get more involved. So I think it would be a great fit. Keith, I want to ask you this, though, before we send things to break. We mentioned that Ace Bailey has to get involved in the game plan right away. They cannot have a Markelle Fultz situation. Do you see the 76ers making a rookie their lead point guard right off the bat, game one, getting into it in the season?
Why not? Yeah. I do. I mean, this guy is that good. Like, you don't have a pure point guard. It might be one of those things where it's kind of sort of like, okay, you guys are both going to handle the ball from time to time, but I mean, this dude is legit. Like, it's his pedigree. And even with him being the lead point guard, they're not going to ask him to say, all right, we're going to spread the floor and you got to be the man. No, it's like you're going to, you're going to play well. Here's the thing. When we look at the what's the point guard, and his name escapes me right now and I'm embarrassed to say it, but the point guard in Detroit, what's his name? Oh, Cade Cunningham. Right? Yeah. So you take Cade Cunningham, and part of the reason why Cade Cunningham's maturation has grown from last year to this year, where some people consider him an all-NBA player, is, the talent around him has gotten better, right? Meaning they got 3 veterans that they didn't have in there, and Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, and Tim Hardaway Jr. These are 3 guys they didn't have on the team last year. So basically, these are vets. You're getting them the ball. You're doing things like that. It makes it easier for you. So if you're a point guard and you come in the 76ers situation where you have, backcourt mate Tyrese Maxey. I got Paul George. I got Joel Embiid. You got all these, you got all these different people that you can benefit from playing with. So you got to play the guy. I mean, he's that good. He's the number 2 pick or number 3 pick. You don't want this guy to just sit back and like learn. Now you can do that with Jared McCain because he's a 16th pick. But if you got a top 3 pick who you're going to pay $9.3 million to get, you gotta play him. You gotta put him out there.
And the big conversation was Cooper Flagg going into this draft. And I think in the beginning, Dylan Harper flew under the radar a little bit, but now people are starting to understand and really looking at his game and saying, oh, this guy is really also NBA ready and can make a difference on the team. So yes, Cooper Flagg might be the headliner of this draft and the biggest name right now, but Dylan Harper is also a very, very key player that can make a difference on the team. He'll go number 2. If he falls to number 3, hey, Philadelphia has the easiest choice in the world. Darren Morey, do not mess this up. We mentioned that yesterday.
I don't think the Spurs are stupid enough to let him go, though.
I'd be shocked. Yeah, I would be shocked. I think that he would fit in well with the Spurs as well with what they're trying to build. So probably will be Ace Bailey. But hey, if crazier things happen, maybe he falls right into the 76ers lap. So Dylan Harper, an NBA now ready player, definitely somebody that can make an impact on a team. If he falls, the 76ers could be there as well. But when we come back, this number 3 pick does affect other players on the 76ers that I know a lot of people and you guys watching wanted to see on Philadelphia next year. That may be a little bit tougher now that the 76ers have secured number 3. So we will touch on that on the other side right here on Locked On 76ers. And we have to tell you about Wayfair. The days are getting longer, the weather is warming up, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you are working with a big backyard or a small balcony, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup, from comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor. They've got it all, and at prices that fit your budget. Grab a new patio, dining set, and some string lights from Wayfair to help extend your outdoor space. I love the mix and match styles they offer as well, especially if you're looking to match a certain area of your outdoor, and then you might have your little patio that you want to have a little bit of different, but want to mix and match, you absolutely can with Wayfair. It makes it super easy to find pieces that match your vibe without spending a fortune. And that is huge, especially if you're not trying to throw a lot of money out there, but you want something that looks nice and you're able to enjoy. Wayfair has that. Delivery is free and hassle-free, even for big stuff. Whether you are entertaining guests or just relaxing solo, shop Wayfair to help you unwind. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. So make sure you go check out Wayfair today. So we talked about this towards the end of the season and really before it wrapped up, but the one concern about getting a high pick was not being able to keep some of your guys. And Guerschon Yabusele, Keith, is one of them. Is there a way the 76ers can work things around? Where do you see Guerschon Yabusele happening with his contract, whatever that may be, for the Philadelphia 76ers going forward? Because it doesn't look too good with that number 3 pick.
I mean, here's the thing, like that and the Sixers are saying that they're optimistic. Daryl Morey said that, Guerschon said he wants to come back. But if we're going to be real with it, like, right about now, let's say they take Ace Bailey, a forward who could start opposite Paul George, right? He's even listed at 6'7". He's taller than Guerschon, who's listed at 6'8", but he's actually about 6'5". I mean, even what I shouldn't say, Ace Bailey listed at 6'7". That's what he was with his shoes off, barefoot, 6'7". He's listed at 6'10". So you got to ask yourself, if you're Guerschon, even though you say you want to come back, if the Sixers bring back other players, right? If Kelly Oubre opts into his 8.3 player option, if you look at all the right now, the Sixers got $49.1 million in guaranteed salary allotted to 4 players, which does not include the first round pick at number 3. Right. They're not really going to have any money at all to give this guy what he wants. And we talk about the second apron, the first apron. If I'm Yabusele at 29 years old, do I want to take another minimum deal or sign a deal, a mid-level exception for $5.7 million to come back? So to me, it's just one of those things where if you're Guerschon, you got to do what's best for your family. And maybe coming to Philadelphia is a great fit, but he's shown that he deserves to make money. And I don't know right now if this is the best fit for him. Now, who knows? He may decide like, hey, I just want to play the game. But right now, this will probably be, he has to get paid. He has to make do, and he has to get paid. And I don't see him coming back if money is the key for him. And it should be the key for him.
Right. And, we say this a lot where obviously a player is going to be like, I want to be here and I want to play here. And, Guerschon Yabusele seemed like a really good fit personality wise, in addition to how he played. But at the end of the day, he had one of his best seasons last year. He showed a lot of different things. After he had that dunk against LeBron in the Olympics, something must have clicked because he was a really good fit with the 76ers. But other teams are going to take notice of that. And if the 76ers can't give him what he wants, well, he's going to go out there and get it. And I know a lot of fans and are going to be in an uproar. People want to keep Guerschon, but there's only so much money out there that you can give out. And if you're Guerschon Yabusele and your goal is to try to be on an NBA championship contender team, if all goes well with Joel Embiid and Paul George this season in terms of the health department, okay, maybe you take the risk and stay. But also, how much time do you have left in your NBA career? How much money do you want to get out of that? And for me, I wouldn't be so mad if Guerschon Yabusele took the selfish route and took the money, because at the end of the day, you don't know how much longer you have in the NBA, how much your body can keep up with you as well. And a lot of teams, Keith, took notice last season. He had a really good year. He was a good fit with Philadelphia, but having that number 3 pick might not result in keeping Guerschon Yabusele.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, and we talk about, being on a championship contending team. I mean, what's the health of Joel Embiid? What's the health of Paul George? We don't know you really won't know until the season starts, right? You don't know anything until the season starts. And so to me, that's another thing. Like if you're saying, I want to get paid, but I also want to win a championship, well, there's a chance you're not going to do either one here.
Right.
Right. So I think that you got to do what's best for you. I mean, think about it. Right now, we're talking about a lot of teams. Let's just talk about the Eastern Conference. You got the Indiana Pacers. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers. You got the Boston Celtics, the New York Knicks, Orlando Magic. All these teams, Detroit Pistons, all these teams right now on paper. Well, I shouldn't say on paper, because if Joel Embiid is healthy, then things change. But these are all these teams that have a chance to be better than the 76ers this year. So that's a lot of teams. So to me, it's one of those things where, and here's the thing, let's be honest. General managers always say, we feel good about bringing this guy back.
Right.
We really want to bring him back. Players always say, yes, I want to come back. Why? Because no one wants to publicly close the door, right? But all that stuff is always contingent on what else happens, right? So with that being said, things can change. They can change, they're just basically going to change. So, there's a lot going on. You look at the Brooklyn Nets, they're going to have a bunch of money. He can go there and be the man, that he can. So there's a lot going on with the whole Guerschon thing. I know the Knicks wanted him at one time. The Boston Celtics wanted him, right? So he's going to have plenty of options to go somewhere and have an impact.
It's a great point you bring up too about, you don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you want to be on a championship contender team, but if Joel Embiid and Paul George get hurt, even if they make it to the playoffs, we've seen Joel Embiid get hurt in the playoffs. We've seen it this year in the postseason, unfortunately, with Jason Tatum going down. Now, granted, he's already an NBA champion, but still, you could get to the first and second round. Your big fella goes down. You're not winning an NBA title. So, where does it all matter for Guerschon Yabusele? We will wait and see. I think he deserves to get paid. He had a really good season with Philadelphia. And if that's not on the Sixers, then hey, thank you for what you did, Guerschon, but best of luck on the team you go to next. But I kind of want to keep talking about this position here for the 76ers because we alluded to the second round pick yesterday, and I want to go towards that, especially if Guerschon Yabusele isn't going to be with the team next season. So we'll touch on that in just a moment right here on Locked On 76ers. So yesterday, Keith, you said that best player available for that second round pick, keeping in mind that the 76ers try to make it work. That's what they're going to say. If Guerschon isn't with this team, do you really kind of dive into that backup forward position, or are you still saying, all right, best player available? Because there's a lot of forwards and centers that are listed at 6'10", 6'11", that could possibly shift into that backup forward spot that could probably help the Sixers next year.
I think you still got to go best player available. I mean, just because there are going to be certain guys on the team who are going to slide to you, right? And I just feel like that's the case. Now, here's the thing. And if they do feel like at that particular time, I think that when the draft comes, although free agency is going to be the following week, but you can talk to your own free agents sooner than you can other people, right? I think that they will have an idea of what they're going to do with him by that point, right? But at the same time, I just feel like when you have a Sixers team that has some holes that we saw last year, and we looked at these other teams, I feel like if there's somebody there, a wing player or what have you, who basically is going to be available, I think you got to go with it. At this particular time, I do. I feel like what they'll do is then what they could probably do is that when free agency hits, you still do have a mid-level exception that you could possibly give to someone else if it's not Guerschon, right? So with that being said, I think that in that instance, you drafting so high, you have to go best player available because the team is going to be capped out, and you get this player. Next thing you know, you groom him, you groom him, and then in a couple years from now, that player can be someone that you center around the third overall pick in Tyrese Maxey. So I think in that instance, you still go best player available. That's just my opinion. Other people may think differently, but I think I'm still going best player available.
Yeah, if I'm the 76ers organization, I think the second pick or the second round pick could be tricky because you might want to have an idea of, hey, these are the players that we would like if we're here. But I think a lot around that time, they pick at 35 in the second round, a lot can shift. People can slide. People can drop to early second round, and then the Sixers have a golden opportunity. I said it yesterday. I would love Fleming from St. Joe's. I don't know if he will fall that far, but you have your guys that you could possibly want. But then if guys start to fall, you figure out who would be that best player available and that best fit. So we will wait and see. I'm actually looking forward to the second round pick because to me, it's an obvious choice who you go to at number 3, Ace Bailey, unless for some crazy reason Dylan Harper would fall. But that second round pick will be interesting to see how they could impact the Philadelphia 76ers. But this team right now, they have a promising year coming up if everything can go well, right? If Joel Embiid is healthy, if Paul George is healthy, those are big ifs, and that's going to be the reality until we get into this season. But you do have a younger core than you did a year ago. Jared McCain coming back. You have this number 3 overall pick, Tyrese Maxey as well. Quentin Grimes with the team. We'll see if he is with them as well. But Keith, if everything goes right for the 76ers, knowing what you're seeing in the NBA playoffs right now, in this Eastern Conference, where do you feel that they realistically fall? And I know that's tough to look ahead because we don't know who's going to be healthy, but do they have enough currently to be able to really compete with the Knicks, with the Celtics, with the Indiana Pacers now and these teams in the East?
See, that's a hard question to answer because the biggest thing is, Joel Embiid's health. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I think that, first of all, is he going to be ready at the beginning of the season? That's
Right.
one question,
That's a
right?
question mark.
You
Yep.
know, secondly, when he does play, is he still? I mean, Daryl Morey again. Daryl Morey is coming out here saying that, you know, they expect Joel to play back at his MVP type level. But what else are you going to say? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, what else are you going to say? So that's one of those things where I think if Joel Embiid isn't at that level, then no, I don't think that they can compete with these teams. You know, I mean, but then another question is, what type of Paul George are we going to get? Are we going to get Paul George that you saw from 2 years ago when he was with the Clippers and he had one of his best years? He was being an all-star. Or are we going to see the Paul George last year who couldn't blow by defenders? So, you know, right now, if you base everything off of what we saw last year, no. But if they do get better, then, you know, you'll see it could possibly happen. So I think the Sixers are kind of like an enigma where you don't really know what you're going to get until they all go out there. And not only that, like initially, when we saw them play in those 15 games, I didn't like what I saw, talking about the big three. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on that we have to see. So that's a extremely hard question to ask right now or answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I said they have to earn the big three next year. I'm still not giving them that name. But the one thing I've noticed about this NBA playoffs in particular is just how physical it is too. And just how many players, especially when you look at a team like the New York Knicks, that you go in against the Boston Celtics when Jason Tatum was healthy, somebody like Mikal Bridges, who was not good through three quarters, all of a sudden in the fourth quarter heats up and then has huge defensive plays at the end of the game. It's very physical games. It's guys essentially having a short memory and saying, all right, well, let me lock in to try to win this game. And I think physicality-wise, Joel Embiid has to be 100%. I'm talking 100%, not, you know, hobbling a little bit or coming in with a sore knee into the playoffs, because if this is the physicality level, they clearly turn it up a notch in the postseason. That's what you're supposed to do. Joel Embiid's body needs to be 100% ready. No sore knee, no this, that, and the other. That is the only way to me that they are able to really make a deep run. But as you said, Keith, it's a wait and see game, and it's a weird situation we're in because we won't know until the start of the season, and we won't really know until the season starts to progress and we see these guys all play together and if they can remain healthy as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So the Eastern Conference playoffs, of course, going on now. Let us know how you feel about the current state of the Philadelphia 76ers. And of course, Dylan Harper, the obvious choice at number 3 if he falls, but Keith and I are both in agreement that the Spurs have to take him, and it looks like they will take him as well. But thank you guys all so much for tuning in to Locked On 76ers, and thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night until an NBA champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. And of course, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on Locked On 76ers on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. For Keith Pompey, I'm Kayla Santiago saying so long, and we'll see you guys next time.